Hey there, this is Jen T. Grace, founder of Publish Your Purpose, and I am here for an author book launch interview with JJ Rorie. Hey, JJ.
Hey, Jen, how are you?
Ah,
Excited to be here.
I'm so good. I am delighted because this is truly like one of the best parts of this process where I get to have a conversation with you. We get to talk about all the things related to your book. And so I'm happy that we're here on June 29th. So number one, good for you for getting your book done as quickly as you have. So,
Thank you. Yes,
so
I tried. And you all, well, couldn't do it without you. So thank you. Can't
yeah,
believe we're here.
I know this is amazing. So let's just start with even just sharing a little bit about who you are and kind of like what you do. Then we can get into the book.
Sure. So I have been in business and product management for a long time, probably 15 years now. I currently teach classes at Johns Hopkins University through the Whiting School of Engineering. So grad level and undergrad level product management classes. I also work with corporate clients through my company, Great Product Management. Host a podcast called Product Voices. And so again, just kind of, try to immerse myself in the product management community and have fun that way.
It's so good. And so just based on that, I heard product management a number of times. So
Yeah.
it's probably no surprise that you wrote a book about product management. So tell us a little bit, about the book. So it's called Immutable: 5 Truths of Great Product Managers. So first, I guess let's start with just painting the picture of like what the book is
Yeah.
about. Then I will interrogate you.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, for those of you who aren't in the product management community, because I tend to kind of, live in that cocoon, product management is the function within any business or organization that is responsible for figuring out the market and the customer needs to then build product solutions, right? That can meet those needs. And the product manager is the role that's kind of the orchestrator of all of the moving parts, right? So there's engineering and finance and marketing and sales and all of these folks that we have to kind of orchestrate and coordinate. And so the product manager role is responsible for not only understanding the market and what we should build in the first place, but then coordinating all the actions to make that solution happen. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, look around you. Everything around you is a product, right? Whether it's something you're using that's intangible, some software, or, the webcam you're staring at or whatever. Everything is a product. And so everything has a product manager behind it for the most part. So the book is about again, name of the book is Immutable. So immutable or timeless skills that a really great, successful product manager needs. Again, I mentioned a lot of collaboration and moving parts, and it's not an easy role. So we tend to overcomplicate things in product management. And so I wanted the book to be something to kind of take us back to the basics and say, what are those underlying skills that any good product manager needs to be able to navigate the role? And so that's what the book's about. It's about 5 truths or 5 sets to fill in the role of the master.
That's so good. So at what point did you have the idea to write this book?
I've had a vision for a book, or an ambition maybe is a better word, because the vision kind of went like this and changed about 15 different times over the years. I've had an ambition to write a book for, probably 5 years, maybe 6 years, a long time. And candidly, it was coming from a selfish perspective. I wanted to write a book, right? I wanted to do that. It was something I wanted to accomplish. But for those of you who are in product management listening to this, the whole, building a solution and then going to look for a problem to solve for it. That's kind of where I was, right? I wanted to write a book, but about what and what was it going to do and who was it going to help and that sort of thing. So that's the journey that I went on for, probably years, and until maybe about 18 months ago or so, I settled on, there's a million different frameworks. There's a million different processes. There's always somebody, frankly, smarter than me coming up with some way to do something better. Yeah. But these immutable truths are always going to be there. And so that is missing in the world of product management and literature. And so that's kind of how I settled on that after kind of years of flailing around saying, what should it be? What should the theme be? And then I finally centered on, this is what we need. This is what the product management community needs.
Yeah, I love that. So, what is then like, and I feel like I could make an assumption here of what impact you're hoping for product managers to get out of this. But generally, like when you were even just starting this process, were you thinking about kind of impact at, or kind of like why, like what is it that these product managers really need to know? Like, I'm just kind of curious how even you landed on there being the 5 truths, which I love the number
Yeah.
5 because it's accessible, right? It's a small number, but it has a big impact to it. So I'm just kind of curious along that line.
Yeah, so definitely. I mean, I jokingly said it was all selfish me writing a book, but I did want to make an impact. I did want to put something out there that was valuable and could help product managers or those who aspire to be product managers do the job better, right?
Mhm.
So that was kind of always my goal of the impact, was to help people be better in the role, because it's somewhat of a complicated role. It overwhelms a lot of people. It's very visible. We get a lot of credit, we get a lot of the bad stuff that comes along, and so it's not an easy role. So I wanted to make an impact on folks that way, and the way that it ended up, and kind of finding these 5 immutable truths in the way that anyone can really embody this foundation. I hope that's the end impact, is the realization that while these may not be the only skills you need in product management, it is the foundation, the bedrock of what's going to make you healthy and happy and successful, right? A lot of people get overwhelmed in the role, myself included, at times in my career, just because it's a difficult role. And so these skills, by the way, are knowing your customers, building relationships, communicating well with all of your stakeholders, having good judgment, and prioritizing your time. If you do those things well, they work together to give you a foundation of success and kind of a healthier work environment, right? And so the impact that I hope, the number one impact that I hope, is that anyone in the role, in the function of product management, can kind of take themselves back to the basics of, let me make sure I've got this foundation first before I overwhelm myself with this new framework or this new process or this new methodology. That's number one. But what I also hope happens in the product management world is that we kind of strip away some of the boundaries or the hurdles that we've put in place, and maybe even unintentionally put in place, on who gets to be a product manager in the first place.
Yeah.
Because again, we need empathetic, diverse people building all the products around us, so that everyone has a seat at the table. And what we've done is we've kind of, again, maybe inadvertently, but we've said, you got to be an engineer. You got to have this experience. You've got to be technical. You've got to have this background. You've got to come from this university. And that's just all wrong, frankly. These 5 skills anyone can have and anyone can master, and can lay the foundation to then build really great products. So I'm hoping that's the ultimate impact of the book.
Yeah, that's so good. In the industry now, like statistically, is it still very heavily dominant with people who do have, engineering backgrounds, for example? And so it sounds like that's one of the things that you're trying to kind of change in the work that you do.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it depends on what industry or what type of product, right? So software products, kind of the FANG companies, and I guess we've got to change that now, the whatever, Meta, Facebook's now Meta, whatever. So, but, kind of Silicon Valley type of companies, almost everyone has a computer science background or some sort of technical engineering background, and are expected to know those things. Look, should I be arguing with those companies who've made that kind of money? And, that maybe I should, because, maybe the impact they make on the world isn't quite as much as what I would like it to be.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that, some of that diversity hits that. It also, you look at, again, because every industry has products, right? So you look at, some of the highly, science-based and technical-based, engineering-based, industries, Yeah, you're going to have engineers, and that's okay, right? It's not that engineers can't be great product managers. It's that we shouldn't put those guardrails up, right? So you've got a male problem. Too many of the product managers and the engineers in technology and in other industries are male.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have a lot of women in tech, or enough. We don't have enough kind of non-binary
Mm-hmm.
presence at all. LGBTQ is still a huge minority, at least people who are open about it.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that the tech industry in general is a little more open,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to some other more conservative industries. But generally speaking, we definitely have a diversity problem that some companies are working on, and some companies are doing lip service to. But hopefully, we can move the needle on that.
Yeah, I think that's companies broadly in
Yeah,
different industries where there's some that are really trying to change, and then there's others that are just saying what they think people want to hear.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you fast forward to, I don't know, a month from now, 2 days from now, 2 years from now, and you have a product manager come up to you that read your book, they don't know you personally, they read your book, and they're like, "Oh my God, JJ, this book did insert something here." What are you hoping that they're going to tell you?
Great question. I hope they tell me that it helps them see the role in a less complicated way. We tend
Mm,
to overcomplicate everything in product management. Maybe it's not just a product management thing, but again, lots of moving parts, lots of science-based, technologies, et cetera. So we work in complex environments, but we also tend to put a little bit of overcomplication on ourselves. And so a lot of people get intimidated about being a product manager because
mm,
they think they have to learn everything on day one. And so I hope that that person would say to me, I realized that, number one, I'm on a journey, and that it's okay to learn day to day, and then to fall back and screw something up and then keep
mm,
going forward. And number two, that I can take it back to the basics and
yeah.
and work on these things like building relationship skills, communication skills, prioritizing these things that anyone can do. It just takes intention and persistence.
Mhm,
I don't have to be a certain type of person, personality, background, et cetera, that I can just strip it back to its basics
mhm.
and really build this foundation for success. And anyone can do that. And I think that's what I hope the impact of the book is.
Yeah, that's so good. How did you end up in product management yourself?
Yeah, it was kind of and this is a common, at least it kind of in the last 10 to 15 years, very common. Now there are more universities with product management programs that
Mhm,
people new to the business world are going to start in product management. But before that never happened. You just kind of
mhm,
happened your way in. And so everybody has a different path into product management. Mine was um, at a law firm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, of all things, in marketing. And the named partner had this idea, very, very brilliant, eccentric man, had an idea for a software product for his law firm clients and healthcare clients and that sort of
mhm.
thing. So he comes to me and says, "Hey, you want to help me build this product?" And I'm like 27 years old, and have done nothing in my life, and a marketer, and he's an attorney, and we're both like, "Yeah, let's build a product." Woo! Neither one of us had any business doing it, but we did it. And that's the thing. Anybody can build a product. You may screw some things up if you don't,
Mhm,
have some background, but it was also really fun. So that's how I kind of got in, and I realized that building stuff is cool. I
mhm,
really loved it. And I looking back on it, I did a lot of things right. And I did a lot of things wrong, but that's kind of how I got my feet into
mhm.
product management, and thought, hey, this is cool. Let me see if this is a real thing. And turns out it was a real function in business. So I stuck
That's
with
so
it.
awesome.
Yeah.
And did you always have did you have a dream of being a professor at a university, especially a place like Johns Hopkins? Like did that just kind of happen? Was that like part of your life goal? What did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, probably about 10 years ago, I remember thinking, I really want to teach classes, right? And I I tried to apply to like University of Phoenix or something. I don't even remember what it was, but of course got canned. Like, no, you don't have any experience. Nobody's going to hire you to do this. But it wasn't really a goal. It wasn't really like a lifelong goal. I just remember thinking that'd be kind of a cool side thing to do. And then, I didn't really think about it again for years. And a friend and colleague and former client of mine had been working with Johns Hopkins through their some of their programs, and reached out to me and said, because I had done a lot of corporate training and that sort of thing, teaching, and reached out to me and said, hey, do you ever teach at university? And I was like, no, but let's talk. And so, long story short, got in with Johns Hopkins, and I absolutely love it. It's probably my favorite thing I've ever done in my career. It's just really awesome to see these folks, younger folks, eager about product management, learning about it and teaching them about it. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's so fun. That's so fun. It sounds like you have a really good balance of just kind of all the things that you're doing. And now you can add author to kind of the checklist of the credentials. But, how are you, obviously your teaching it takes up a little bit of time. But beyond that, like how are you working with companies or individuals? Because I'm just kind of curious if anyone's watching this and they're like, hey, I have no idea what to do with this, if there's any ability for you to possibly help them.
Yeah, absolutely. So a few different ways we do training. So literally just, if somebody reads the book, or if a product team leads the book, or product leader reads the book and wants their team to learn these things, we have training workshops that we go in and we dig into each one of these. Like, we do exercises, we teach people how to literally implement it into their world, right? And so we definitely do a lot of training on the 5 truths and some other things as well. And so that's kind of number one. But we also do advisory and coaching. So sometimes teams and individuals, they don't really know what they need. They don't know what they want. And so we go in, we help them from an organizational standpoint, kind of set up the environment to allow these product managers to be successful, right? Systems and structures and culture and that sort of thing. And then we coach individuals. We meet with them weekly or biweekly or monthly and say, what'd you learn about your customers this week? How did you repair that relationship that we talked about last time? And really kind of just help them go through the process, because again, none of this is rocket science. I like to say it just is something that you got to be persistent at. And so sometimes a little hand holding helps folks get on the right track. So we do all of that: coaching and advising and training.
That's awesome. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I feel like you have like the perfect kind of setup in terms of authors that we serve well, in terms of where the book is really kind of a fundamental piece of a much larger kind of ecosystem that you're working on. In your case, like also being a professor at a prestigious university, and then knowing that, part of the plan is to eventually get, institutions, academic institutions to add your book to their curriculum, which I think is a fantastic opportunity too, and I'm very excited about.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, especially from the university standpoint. And so next semester at Johns Hopkins, we're going to be using the book in one of the classes and talking about kind of those skills. I would love for, from the very beginning of anyone's product management career, in fact, before they ever get into the career, they're just learning about it, for them to learn about okay, one, next of my career to the day I retire, I'm going to have to be working on these things. It's not like it's arduous. It's just a journey. And if they can realize that, work on their communication, prioritize their time, et cetera, from day one, they're going to have a much more successful and frankly happier time in product management.
Absolutely. So the book really is kind of like a primer for someone, just ideally someone who hasn't even touched the industry yet. Like, this is the fundamentals, here's the foundation, and then everything else can be built off of that really strong, solid foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. It can definitely work that way. Although I will say that I've had a lot of folks who've pre-read the book, right? And I've talked about the book and that sort of thing, who are in the industry, who are in product management, say to me, I've been in this world for 10 years and it was a great reminder that I've got to work on this. Now the folks who've been in it 10 years may have a better level of these skills than someone coming in, but they still have to work on it. They still have to look and make sure they're being intentional about all of these things, because they're so important.
I love that so much. So good. Do you have any book launches planned or events or anything like that? I know you're like I can't say bi-coastal because you're not quite the other coast, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Well, I mean, no official things yet, date wise, but check out my website, greatproductmanagement.com, because we'll have book events there. So I'm
Mhm.
speaking at several events, virtual events. So there's something called Industry Interviews, which is coming up in July.
Mhm.
I'm speaking at Product Makers, which is in September. I'm doing a couple of in-person, or I'm planning a couple of in-person book signings and panels and that sort of thing. One in New York City, hopefully in end of July, August-ish.
Mhm.
So stay tuned on that, hopefully to do that kind of a launch party.
Yeah.
And with some friends in product management, we'll do kind of a panel thing. So hopefully that will be in New York City. And then we're going to plan a book signing and event at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore in the fall, once all the students come back. So probably September, October or so. So stay
Perfect.
tuned. Hopefully we'll do some things. Hopefully going to do a product camp Dallas event in August. So we'll be able to, have some books available there and talk about the
Mhm.
book and meet some people there as well. So going to be exciting.
Yeah, that's great. I put your website scrolling across the bottom, so
Okay.
greatproductmanagement.com. So if anybody wants to get in touch with you, they can certainly do that. Also, your book is available wherever someone wants to purchase a book, so they're welcome to support. I'm a big fan of supporting independent bookstores, so certainly do that. It's obviously available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and all the others. But highly recommend getting a copy of this because it seems like even if you're not in product management, it really feels like this is applicable for like other like just a good fundamental skill set getting into just into being a professional. Even it sounds like anyway.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, maybe potentially the customer intelligence one may not be applicable to every role out there,
Mhm.
but if you're in business, you probably should know your customers. So yeah, I think so. I mean, it's very tailored to a product manager, but I think the stories and the examples and the skills could be applicable to lots of different roles.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that I have not asked you that I should have before we depart?
I don't think so. It's just been so much fun chatting with you again. I can't thank you and your team enough for this. It's been really an amazing journey through the book writing and publishing process. So hopefully everyone will love the book. And Jen, seriously, thank you, and specifically Bailey and the rest of your team. They've just been amazing.
Yeah, I so appreciate that. I'll make sure that they know that. And
Awesome.
thank you. Have an awesome rest of your day, and we will chat very, very soon.
Thanks.